What is going on, everybody? So today I'm making this video because I want to stress how important it is to quarantine your corals. And you know, here at Tanknicians, we're not just a quarantine shop for fish, which you guys know me, I've done tons of videos about how important it is to quarantine your fish, but it is just as important to quarantine your corals. And we're gonna go to a tank today, and I'm gonna kind of get into why that is, because it's not just things like aptasia or flatworms. There's some things you can visually see with your eye. There's some things that can be in your tank that you don't see, and dips and all those types of things don't necessarily get rid of it. So I'm gonna take you to a very, very nice tank, high-end corals, and I'm gonna show you the issue that we're dealing with right now. And also the new setup that he has going on, which is amazing. Wait till you guys see this tank. It's gonna be sick. Like in the future, this thing is gonna be like an amazing tank. It's gonna be one of the best tanks we have on our routes. I guarantee it. So we're gonna get to that. But first, I wanna show you some quarantine corals that we have here at the shop. I wanted to share with you guys these Iron Man acans, simply because, yes, I'm definitely getting a frag of this. It's just too beautiful to pass up. I'm a really big acan person. I love acans. They're probably one of my favorite corals. I like them not just because of the color that they have. Like, look at this Iron Man with that red and that goldish color. Unbelievable. I like them not just because of the colors they come in. There are a bunch of different variants and stuff like that. So you can see this little teal and yellow over here to the side. And then if we go up a bit here, we have another red with a nice greenish yellow mouth. I like these corals because you can feed them, which is fun. So that little center there, you can feed like coral gumbo or like plankton and stuff like that, little meaty foods, and they take it. They're really easy to feed. Spot feed them. They do really good with feeding, and I always think that's fun to be able to engage with your corals. We got some blastos, some nice favia right there, that purple with the gold skirt. But yeah, these guys have just come out of quarantine. They are been fragged up. Fragged to the bone. Like, we've just tried to leave nothing but tissue on the coral as much as we possibly can. You can see that acan there even got cut a little bit, but I'm hopeful in a healthy tank that will recover. It's recovering nicely now. But we fragged up all of these corals, and the reason why we do that is to just give ourselves the best chances to not have any pest be introduced into a customer's tank. So it's not just the aptasia you have to worry about. There's different types of worms, copepods, bugs, anything that can get in your tank and just that you might not be able to see with your eye, but that can just ravage your whole tank and just eat everything in there. Look at that blue raven blastomuso. That is really pretty. Nice chalice corals that have come in, aquacultured, tons of zoas and pallies. Great favias. These have all gone through a quarantine process here that has taken probably about close to 2 months between all the dips, the insecticides, the dips. You know, we have to treat for each single thing. So we don't just treat for hydroids, which is a specific, treatment. We also treat for not just aptasia, which is just fragging, but things like, different types of bugs, red bugs, black bugs, and stuff like that you have to dip with pesticides, insecticides, and then things like hydroids, which takes an actual medication, fenbendazole, to kill those. So these guys have been through it, and look at this acan. I mean, 2 months nearly in a quarantine setup, being just treated, fragged up, and it looks amazing. So I think that this is something that all fish stores should start doing, because these were as I believe some of these were wild colonies. You gotta, if you're going to have wild colonies, they're gonna come in for sure with pests, and then you're gonna go ahead and sell customers corals that have pests from the wild, and that's not a good look. So I think all stores, they do their little dips and stuff, but like being able to frag up as little as you possibly can, doing several different dips is the key. Got our little mandarin dragonet in our fish system right here. This is our pre-quarantine system. If you notice, it's all on one filtration, not individual filtration like our normal tanks. Like you would see over here with this Anthias course racemonos. These tanks are all isolated from each other so that they can get quarantined. One day, hopefully soon, I can get into the whole process of how we, actually do like a step-by-step how we go about doing the quarantine for the fish and for the corals. It's a lot of work, and it's tedious and it's annoying. I get it, I know it, but it needs to be done. And if you're gonna be asking high dollar amounts for corals, you need to put the effort in to make those corals, worth it for the customer, because there's some corals that are going through for like insane prices compared to when I first got in the hobby, and they're not going through the rigorous quarantine process that they should. And I don't think that's fair to the customer. We as hobbyists need to demand better. But with my little tangent out of the way, let's go ahead and head to the customer's house, and I will show you exactly what I'm talking about and what we're dealing with. See you there. All right, so here we are at the aquarium, and from first glance, most people say, wow, that's a really nice aquarium. There's some really nice corals in there, and it looks like this tank is really coming along. And look closely, there's some really high-end pieces. I mean, we got softies, we got LPS, and we got SPS in this aquarium. And these, again, like I said, these are some high-end pieces that came from a reputable seller, a very well-known coral seller. And with that, you would think that there would be an expectation that all these corals would be clean, especially when you realize how much these corals are going for. They're way above most local fish stores' asking price. And because of their reputation and their name, they get those prices. They do have some nice pieces, and one would expect these pieces to be clean, especially if you are marketing yourself in such a way. And we're gonna go through this aquarium, and I'm gonna show you exactly what we found. First up is this colony of clove polyps that have hydroids. If you look closely, you can see those little wiry things sticking out there. Those are hydroids, and they are stinging the clove polyps. Also, more hydroids in this colony of zoanthids. I'm assuming these are wild zoanthids that this customer was sold. And this was a lot of money, if anybody who buys zoanthids knows. There are also black bugs in this tank that could only come from one place, and that's the coral cellar. These zoas are all closed up. They're getting stung not just by aptasia, but hydroids. And they are littered with them, and black bugs, which are really dangerous. So what we'd have to do to this aquarium, again, these are all high-end corals. These are very, very expensive corals that the customer paid for. Tons of money spent on here. And one would think when you're spending top dollar for corals that you're going to get a certain reassurance that you won't get pests. We've already treated for black bugs with Inceptor, which has taken a toll on the aquarium, but it's something we had to do because those black bugs were going to devastate the aquarium even more than it was, so we kind of had to do that. Now we today are going to have to treat for hydroids, and you can see there's green hair algae happening now. The tank is thrown off balance because of the treatment we're having to do. And no, we can't take these corals out and dip them because the whole tank is littered with black bugs, and we have to treat the whole tank. And that causes die-offs in snails, that causes die-offs in your copepods and things like that. All those get bothered by the treatment for the black bugs. And the hydroids didn't just come in on the corals. We've noticed the hydroids when the person got snails from this reputable seller. They were actually on the snail shells, and we noticed them really quickly. So the future with this aquarium right here, it's going to be a grow out tank. So a quarantine/grow out tank. All these corals, so we'll probably get rid of most of the rock here, clean up the sump. But the idea is for any new additions that come in, they will be quarantined in here and left to grow out. That is because of this beautiful aquarium that just got installed a couple months ago. Look at how pretty this thing is. Unbelievable. Look at that aquarium, and it's got all the gadgets on it that you could imagine. We got a hydro system here. We got 2 Red Sea roller mats, heavy duty protein skimmer, because this tank is going to be loaded with fish and eventually loaded with a bunch of coral, some of the best coral you guys will ever see. So the future of this tank is going to be amazing, but let's just start with where it's at right now. Look how white the sand is. Look how clean the rocks are. We have 2 little clownfish. We have a Disjardini tang. Let's see if I can get a close-up of my Disjardini tang here. Disjardini tang. We have a whitetail coal tang. We have a sunset anthias. We have a female swallowtail. No, that's the male, sorry, male swallowtail. The female is right there. 2 yellow chorus wrasse. Anybody know the name of this fish? Put it down in the comments. I love that. It's one of my favorites. A copper band butterfly. Look at the size of that one. That's a really pretty fish. Good healthy boy too. Got some weight on him. And then a blue jaw trigger, which if you're gonna have a trigger fish and you want reef, if you want a coral reef, blue jaw triggers are definitely the fish to get. They don't mess with coral, but that one is super pretty. Look at that, bright yellows on his finnage, nice bright blue jaw there. That's a really pretty fish. But everybody so far, for being a new tank, everything is doing really, really good. Everything looks great. And there's gonna be some really cool fish that are going into this aquarium. Now, we have 2 fish at the shop that are currently in their 3rd week of quarantine, I believe, or ending their 2nd week of quarantine. And they're 2 really pretty, stunning fish that are gonna go in this tank. And I can't wait to show you guys that. But this is just a sneak peek, because once this tank has fully loaded with fish, and once the corals end up going through their quarantine and all their treatment and stuff, and we start putting coral in here, this thing is going to look like, it's gonna be ridiculous. This is gonna be one of the best tanks you guys will ever see. One of the best reef tanks out there, no question about it. Fully automated. It's gonna have its own water changing system. We're not gonna be doing the water changes. It's gonna be an automated system, probably about 10 to 15 gallons a day. The owner is really good at taking care of his animals and his corals. And he's done a lot of research, and he's on point. He's gonna have this thing looking amazing, and I'm just along for the journey. We're here. Technicians will be here where we can help, but I cannot wait to watch the process of this aquarium. I'm really excited, but that's just a sneak peek. Stay tuned, because this thing is gonna be amazing. So our job now is to salvage what we can salvage in this aquarium. This is still a really pretty tank, but it's going to be used as a coral QT, a coral grow out, and we'll get it right. We're going to get rid of the rock, the sand, and this will be purely just for quarantining corals that will eventually go in the bigger tank that we just went over. And I'm excited about that, but first we have to take care of all the problems that are in this tank, and we probably will lose some coral, but I think we're saving a lot more than we lose. But we don't have a choice but to do these treatments, because we do not want in the future to infect any new coral. But that's just kind of the rundown. Let me know how you guys feel down in the comments. It's very frustrating that a customer spent, I mean, anybody who knows the hobby knows how much these corals, just one of them, cost. It's a lot of money, and not to mention the tank, the rock, and the work that goes into it. Just let me know down in the comments what you guys think. I get very upset because of the companies out there that treat customers the way they do, and I feel it's a scam. I feel like if you're going to market yourself as a high-end coral shop or fish store, that you should then have certain expectations placed on you. And it doesn't seem like these stores, they have the name, but they're not doing the work. They're not doing anything to ensure that their corals are being well taken care of. And then people like this who spend a bunch of money, they quickly get out of the hobby because they get discouraged and they feel like it's their fault, when it's not their fault that they got bad corals or infected fish or infected livestock. So today we're going to be adding this fendimetazole to help kill all the hydroids in the tank. That's our main focus today, adding this to the aquarium to get rid of every last hydroid in the aquarium so that we don't have to worry about them stinging coral. So we're going to leave the skimmer on. We're going to let it overfill. That way we aerate the tank still. We're still getting those bubbles in there, aerating the system, keeping it oxygenated, but not skimming any of that medication out. We don't want to skim that medication out. We want that medication in here to kill any type of hydroids that are in this aquarium. And hopefully it'll work really well. All right, so that's where we'll have to leave it off. Thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.